Hello and welcome everyone. So today I want to show you 5 examples on how to use the VLOOKUP function. So the first question is, what is Nick's Holloway job? So let's start typing equal VL, and now we press tab to start using the function. And now we need to choose the first parameter, our lookup value. Our lookup value is Nick. Let's press quote, type Nick, close this text by pressing quote again. Let's go to our next parameter by pressing comma. Our table array is going to be your dataset. Your dataset, you can choose it by clicking your left button in your mouse, drag it to the end of your dataset, and my advice is to lock it or lock this array by pressing F4. And even if you move this cell or the formula to another cell, this is always going to be looking to this array. So let's go to our next parameter by pressing comma again. And now we need to choose which column index number we want to return the results. Meaning in column D is where is the job description. So if we count, so 1, 2, and 3, this is what we need to put in our formula. And we can go to the next parameter by pressing comma again. And now we know that we have two options. We want the approximate match or the exact match. Because we know the name, we want the exact match, and we can press this by putting 0, or we can choose the false option. We can close our function by putting parentheses, press enter, and is ready. Now we know that Nick Holloway job is actually junior executive and not accounts payable. And I think this is the first lesson of VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP function will always look from the top to the bottom. So that's why the name V, so it's a vertical lookup, and is going to find the first match of your lookup value. In this case, we needed to put the whole name. So the VLOOKUP function, in order to work properly, you need a unique value in your dataset. The way that you need to do this is go and create another column, and we can put unique ID. And let's concatenate actually the first name and the last name by pressing equal, first name, ampersand, and let's put a space in the middle that is represented by quote, space, quote, another ampersand, the same as concatenate, with the last name. And now we can copy this and paste as formulas. And now we have a unique value in our dataset. So what we need to change now is first, a actual variable that is correct, that will look into our first column, and we can actually, this is a best practice to have a variable. So Nick Holloway, and let's change this, our first parameter, to be M1. Now in our table array, we actually need to add another column, and because we add another column, the result we want to return is not longer in the third column of our dataset. If we start counting again, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, this is the number we want to put in the column index number. And now we have the right result, that is Nick Holloway. The job is junior executive. Now the next question is, what is Nick's Holloway monthly salary? So if we have a close look to our dataset, we know that the name Nick Holloway we're going to find in column A, and the annual salary is going to be in column F. But the question is, what is Nick's Holloway monthly salary? So we know that after the result, we will need to divide by 12. Let's type again equal VL, press tab to call the function. And our lookup value is again Nick Holloway. And where do we want to look or have this? Our array is going to be from the column where our lookup value is. So let's start here. Let's drag it to the last column in our dataset. Let's lock by pressing F4, and let's go to the next parameter by pressing comma. And we need now to choose where is the column we want to return. In this case, it's going to be F. And if we count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the value we want to put, so number 6. Let's go to the next one, and let's choose, we want a exact match again. And last thing, you don't need actually to count your columns. Excel will tell you straight away when you are selecting. So let's select again and C. So if you start selecting, we can see that Excel is saying, okay, you are in column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, and column 6. Lock it again, and this is more useful than counting by hand. So press enter, and now we have our value. Of course, let's put this as actual currency, and the next salary is actually correct. So now what we need to do is to perform an arithmetic calculation, so we can actually divide by 12. And this is to tell you that once you get your result from the VLOOKUP, you can do whatever you want with it. In this example, we are dividing by 12. Our next question is to know who is the CEO of the company. We know that the CEO is in column D, and you can start typing equal VL tab to call the function, and now our lookup value is going to be CEO. So now let's go to our next parameter, and now what we want to return is from column D. So your table array needs to start where your lookup value is located. So in this case it's column D, and now we want to go back and return the name A to D, comma, and the column index is going to be 4. Let's go to our next parameter and choose false. Close VLOOKUP by pressing parentheses and press enter. Now we have an NA because the VLOOKUP function doesn't work backwards. So the VLOOKUP function only goes from the left to the right and never from the right to the left. In order to solve this, we can use another function, which is choose. So we can start typing choose, press tab to start working with this function. So the index number is something we need to choose. And the way to do this is actually pressing left curly brackets, and let's put 2 columns. This is represented by pressing 1, 2. Let's close with right curly brackets, comma. And now the value 1 is going to be where the CEO name is located. So this is going to be this column right here. Let's press comma, and the value 2 is going to be the one we want to return. And let's drag it and select it. And now we close our choose function by pressing parentheses. And this function right here replaces the table array or redefines the table array. So now the only thing we need to do is to choose again our column index. So these are the 2 options. So we want to return the second, or the number 2, that is associated with this range right here. So if we go and press 2, our CEO is Arvin. So let's see here, Arvin, it is our CEO. Our next question is, who has the most years of service in this company? Let's first find out what is the highest number we have in column E. We can do this by using the max function, and we can select and drag down and close with a parenthesis, and we know that is actually 10. So we can use this function right here inside of VLOOKUP. So if we start typing equal VL, call the function by pressing tab, and now we want to do this formula inside of the VLOOKUP that will represent the lookup value. So we can start typing max by pressing tab. Let's select our table or the column E, where we want to find the maximum value or the highest value in this range. Let's press comma, and just by curiosity, we can select the function max, and you can press F9, and we know that the result of the max is going to be 10. So Control V to go back and to have the formula, otherwise it will be as value. So in our next parameter is the table array. So the table array, because we need to go back, we need to actually redo the choose function. Let's type it again, choose. Let's redefine our array by pressing curly brackets. We want 2 columns. So the first column is where our value is, and the second column, or the number 2, is represented by the column we want to return our value. Close this with our right curly bracket, and let's go and choose our columns. Press comma, and the value 1 is going to be associated with number 1. So value 1 is again this range right here, comma, and let's choose the range associated with number 2. Let's close this function by pressing the right parenthesis, column where is the value that we want to return. In this case, we want the name of the person that has the most years inside of the company. In this case, it's going to be 2. comma again, and we want the exact match again. So close the function by pressing the right parenthesis, press enter, and let's see if this is correct. So the person with the most years in the company is Kin. This is correct. So let's see the next question. Here says that a person will only be promoted if has 2 years as minimum. So we can use VLOOKUP to actually understand who is going to be the next person to be promoted. For example, let's start pressing equal, VL, press tab. So what we want to find, our variable, our lookup value is going to be 2, because it has to have at least 2 years as minimum to be promoted. And let's go to our table. Let's redefine our array again to go from the right to the left to know the person that is going to be promoted. And again, choose left curly bracket, 1, 2, right curly bracket, comma. Again, let's choose the array that is referent to number 1. So we want to see the years of service, comma again. Next, we want to choose our array that is associated with column 2. That is going to be column A right here. So this is going to be the name of the person that is going to be promoted. Let's close our choose function by pressing right parenthesis, comma, and now let's put our number 2, comma again to go to next parameter, and we want to return now the approximate match. Why? The false parameter is when you find the number 2 here, so 2 years, but because we don't have here 2, this will never find. And let's press true. Why did we press true instead of false? Because we want to find next approximate number, which will tell us the person that will be promoted next. And press enter. And here, let's see if this is correct. So the person that is going to be promoted next is Virginia. So let's see here. This is actually not true. It could be, but it's not, because here the next person that is going to be promoted is the person that is next or more approximate to 2. That is 1.8. So actually the next person to be promoted is going to be Nick. And this didn't work because this data is not sorted. So if you use VLOOKUP and you choose the parameter true, you need to make sure that your data set is sorted. So if we sort this data, go into data, sort, and then choose years of service, smallest to largest. And now the next person to be promoted is going to be Nick. So we can see here that 1.8 is the closest number to 2.